Who loves music?
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
All of you, right?
Testing.
We all love music, don't we? Yeah.
You're in for a real treat. You've come to the right place. There's no bad news here. Well, you know, depends where you are in the music industry, actually. We'll unpack all of that.
Keep the mic up.
Pardon?
Keep the mic up to your mouth.
What's the time?
Let's go.
Turn it up.
How do we get it going?
I don't think you have to.
When I started out, it was all about turntables and the direct drive techniques. It was what you just needed. But I actually started with an old bell drive turntables. You didn't think of any of these technologies any more than you did about vinyl. But these were just the tools of the trade of what I used to share my love of music. But things have evolved. There is still a big following for turntables and vinyl, but today, for me, it's mostly about digital and USBs, and performing live with my electronic instruments and creating new music in front of a very busy dance floor. There has been a lot of changes on the way, but notably was when CDJs came in, and then of course the rise of digital. Artists had to adapt as well as venues. And with streaming and online world, there is so much more music available, so it made sense to be able to perform it in the same format as you accessed it.
Virtual festival right here.
I've always loved in embracing new technology. Our industry continues to grow and it has become truly global phenomenon. And we are at the forefront of things with my friends at Ocean Floor Music. Web3 and NFTs are finding their place as blockchains become more relevant and moves from what we could be so much more of a fad into something that looks like it's here to stay. So to coin a phrase, the future is now.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Carl Cox, ladies and gentlemen. So he's one of our advisors. He's new on the team. And as he said, we're here to embrace Web3 and the new technology. And that's what Ocean Floor Music is all about. Evolving the music industry fully into the Web3 creator economy. So you're really in for a treat. We're going to deep dive into immersive music. You might not have heard about that. The Metaverse, you've all heard about that. And the creator economy. Some of you might be unsure about that. So we're going to unpack the lot and then talk about Carl Cox's journey with us. So I'm going to do some introductions of these two handsome men beside me. First up, Clint. So Clint, as a bassist, he played over 300 gigs in 7 years. He recorded an original studio album before transitioning into the corporate world. He also held senior exec positions in sales, marketing, operations, general management, and digital transformation, managing teams of over 1,000 people. You need these kind of people, don't you, as co-founders, right? Yeah, okay, good. In both Australia and Asia. Welcome, Clint.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, everyone, for staying around today. Looking forward to the prezzo.
Yeah, thank you for being here. We're here, but we're between your bubbles, right, and your beers. And Sam, let me introduce Sam, internationally nominated, and he has won Best Score for a film in 2013 and animation compositions in 2020 and 2021. He has also performed at international music festivals and produced award-winning artists. These are the kinds of people you need co-founding, right? Music businesses and Web3. He's also served as a board member of WAM. This is the peak music body in WA, so we've come a long way to be here with you all. And they are responsible for supporting, nurturing, and growing all forms of original and contemporary music. So that's a good organisation to be involved with. He's also developed and delivered music technology courses at the Western Australia Academy of Performing Arts and the SAE Institute of Perth. Welcome, Sam.
Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, I've got one sentence about me as the moderator. I've got 20 years TradFi. I'm the crypto and finance analyst at Ocean Floor Music. It's my pleasure to be the moderator today for this conversation. So thank you so much for being here with us all.
Yes,
And thank you for responding to my cheesy reach outs over Wova. So we have a very bullish thesis that we want to explore with you today. Two parts to it. So part one is there is a compelling appetite for immersive music experiences within the metaverse now and into the future. Has anybody read the McKinsey report on the metaverse? It was released in June. Excellent. So they are predicting by their analysis that that sector is going to blow up to 5 trillion by 2030. Let's see. You know, predictions are what they are, right? Part two of the thesis is that the Web3 creator economy, and no one really knows the real definition of that. It's in motion, in movement, it's under definition defining, but we are going to think about it as being the economy that is catalyzed by cryptocurrencies, disintermediation of gatekeepers, and in the music industry, there are certainly those, and in finance as well. Decentralization, 100% data ownership, and self-sovereignty. So I think you can agree that there is a fit to be explored for Web3 creator economy and musician artists. All right, I hope you're with me. Look, this is what you get when you put an analyst in front of you, a lot of statistics. The last one, this is not a boring one. The music industry has a lot of potential to grow from $77 billion, where it was in 2019, to $142 billion by 2030. So this is an industry that can be evolved, and we are here as a business to do that. So I want to also give a nod out to other businesses who are operating in this market. I'm talking about MotorDAO, Emanate, Opulus, Vibrate, OFM now, and there are many others. I couldn't mention you all, but you know, the space is there. It is virgin. It is there for the taking, for the creation, and for the, I think, the emancipation of artists. Okay, there we go. I've got the hyperbole out of the way. Are you still with me? I hope so. Let's get into the juicy questions. So first up, I'd like you to explain basically the ocean floor music ecosystem pretty briefly, and then define for us immersive music experiences. I'm going to put up a lovely little slide in a minute, because we hear about this in the gaming world, don't we? But not so much in music. So I'd like you both to unpack that as best as you can.
Yeah, thanks, Sophie. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the immersive music sector is definitely on its way. We know that the immersive experience in the metaverse and in gaming has definitely carved a nice path for us in this space. The trouble or the opportunity or the challenge for music is in live performance across computers across the world. Latency has been the killer for performances across the world, right? We know how challenging tech between audio. Have a look at this morning, you know, great opportunity to help people connect better with new technological solutions. For us, we've unpacked a software plugin that will allow artists to perform in real time from their laptops anywhere in the world.
I think that's an important point, Clint. It's called Borderless Music, and it allows artists remotely to perform together in real time. The holy grail in this space has been cracking that latency issue, yeah, and synchronous together at the same time. And it creates the opportunity for artists to come together and collaborate across the globe in an immersive space somewhere in our metaverse. Here we see a show that we done a few weeks ago between London and Perth. That was a 1-hour gig that was fed into our metaverse space, and it went off without a hitch. So us being able to crack this technology in a fairly short time, well, I don't know, it's been in development for about 8 years actually, so it's not that short. But yesterday we got a call from our team, and the MIDI, does anybody know what MIDI is? Musical Instrument Digital Interface, the ability to trigger sounds and samples remotely, is integrated into our metaverse. So I don't know of any other that's got to this point in such a short time. So it's pretty exciting.
And if you think about the timeline of music, you know, maybe 300,000 years ago, around the campfire, singing along, you had to be in that space, in that time, right? Move forward down the timeline, 20,000 years ago, stringed instruments, percussive instruments came to life. Then we moved into the space of orchestras and live big band performances. You know, in the last few hundred years, some of us still might have been to an orchestra in recent years. And then the recorded music industry, where vinyl, CDs, streaming all come about. Most of us are aware of streaming, right? But this experience with music is a passive experience. We are absorbing it one way. This technology allows for artists and fans to connect and co-create together in real time. Just think about the emergence of what new music consumption is. It's an adaptive, immersive experience where it's a tangible product that both artists and fans can play with.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Active participation, active consumption rather than passive consumption. I think fans are ready to get more deeply engaged with the music that they're consuming. So that's where we're heading with that.
I mean, just to summarise, this is an extension of the work that an artist is creating live in real time. You, as a fan, you get to extend that and co-create with the artist. So just speaking about that, give us an idea of how appealing that might be to artists, because it is new in its application in the music industry.
I spoke to a head A&R guy at a major record label, I think it was about 3 weeks ago now, and his response to me, once he got to know the technology a little bit better, with a little bit more time than this, said, "Clint, I've got 100 artists that will use this technology right now." And I went, okay, we're onto something here. And then the other question to the guy who's helped build the software, I said, as a use case, could Carl Cox, for example, because he's the name that comes to mind, if he's performing at Wembley Arena as a DJ, could everyone who's a fan of his who had this plugin be able to jam along with him in real time and remix and output? And he's like, absolutely. He said, "Clint, 97% of the discovery will happen within the community. They will use the technology and write new ways that we can't even think about right now."
That's exciting. So, back-to-back DJs. So we've already got DJs who want to perform from like Sydney to LA. That's pretty exciting. Writing rooms, we've got major labels that are talking to us about, bringing their artists together in our writing rooms using this technology as well.
So, I mean, we also had, as part of the thesis, the Metaverse. So let's touch now upon the ocean floor music Metaverse, like what's been offered. And we all know that Metaverses, they are integral, aren't they, in evolving this revolution with the internet, development of the internet, and immersive experiences within the internet. So, how is ocean floor music going to deliver on that promise of dynamic, real life experiences, avatars performing for their, give us a sense of that.
Sure. So is there a slide for it?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, what happened to the slide?
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry about it. There was a slide, and we've got 3 stages. For example, you could have multiple stages, but 3 stages, and it said Perth, Melbourne, London. So, I mean, that is one part of our live virtual performance space, where we can have the 3 artists from across the globe performing together. The interaction between fans is really starting to get us excited. Imagine an artist doing a performance in our virtual environment that shouts out to fans. We've got a sound bank or a sample bank that you can take your phone up and bring up the launch pad and click on a button, and you can make beats with me while I'm performing. So this is an important part of our metaverse. As I said before, our writing rooms are also in our metaverse, and recording spaces as well.
So I hope you get a context of the ecosystem that's actually developing out in the ocean floor music metaverse. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about the shape of it, but look, I apologise, we don't have the visual for it.
Well, we are ocean floor, so we are building some domes underneath the ocean where there's live performance arenas. I've showed some demos to my 9-year-old daughter, and the smile on her face every day, she's like, "Dad, when's the game going to be ready? When can I play music with my friends in there?" Like, she gets it, right? That's how simple we're building and beautifully that we're building in. Do you want to talk to some of the tech that we're using, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're building using the Unreal Engine, and we chose Unreal because it's got a really good audio package that comes with it, with binaural sound and the ability to implement MIDI. That's a little bit of tech, and the reason why, and it looks beautiful.
So if any takeaway, and there's been some amazing metaverses presented today, and you'll see them out in the world as we do our own research, just think about this as the metaverse where you can create music within it, right? That's an easy, simple takeaway for everyone here today.
Beautiful. That's a good segue into the creator economy, because I think you need to prove to us, well, those who are not part of the team, like, creativity's been around since, human beings started to breathe on this planet, but the actual creator economy transitioning into the Web, 3 sector, how is Ocean Floor Music integrating that? Do they have a token economy? Can you give us the big picture for that?
Thank you, Sophie. We started our business model off understanding that artists only earn 13% revenue globally, and they get paid last, right? It's an equation that needs to be fixed. So we started building a crowdfunding model. Does anyone know Patreon or Kickstarter or Indiegogo? You've seen lots of nods. We've built the tech in the background, ready to launch early next year, that leverages DeFi, new reward structures, teaching artists how to use off-chain and on-chain bundling packages to incentivize their fans and teach them that the future of mass adoption and global streaming and high numbers through Spotify, I think that only pay $4,000 for 1 million streams, isn't a way to create a sustainable future to allow them to keep creating. So we are providing that education piece with the platform and a crowdfunding tech piece built in.
Yeah, that's right. You've all heard of the 1,000 true fans, yeah, or 100 true fans. Forget about the 1 million subscribers. It's really hard to attain. So for us, our whole model is based around 1,000 true fans. And just think about it this way: imagine 1,000 people happy to spend $50 a year on you. Anybody any good at math here? That's not a bad wage for a musician to start with, and it's 1,000 people. So once the fundings come, then you need to create. So our music industry marketplace is fundamental to our ecosystem. It's part of our NFT marketplace where services and products, studios, producers, engineers, tour managers, videographers, marketing, any service or product that's required for the creation, sale, consumption of music is provided on our marketplace.
So we want to give artists something now, right? NFT marketplaces, our part of our platform is ready to test and go live in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Stay tuned for that. We are working with some of the best artists in the country, in the world. Eskimo Joe, massive fan. Who's Eskimo Joe fan? Hands up, yeah. Cav Templey, the lead singer. He has built some amazing NFTs. We've seen him in his studio a few weeks ago. I think his wife's here somewhere today. Where are you, Beth?
Yes.
Also a studier of blockchain and studies her own course.
Amazing woman.
We want more women in blockchain, by the way. Absolutely. So thanks for that, Beth. But, we've got some amazing ambassadors and artists that we are helping lead the way and demonstrate there's new ways to monetize. Our focus in our business is about the 90% tail end of artists that struggle, that work 5 jobs, that give up on the music industry because they're only ever being rewarded at the end of the art creation. Why should they not be rewarded in the creation process? We want to enable that. We want to educate the world that there is value in creation.
There's a very good question there. It begs the question about royalties. Everyone knows about royalties, don't they, for musicians? So, how does that get dealt with by Ocean Floor Music?
Well, in a number of ways. We're working closely with publishers. So we are traditional music industry friendly. We want to wrap our arms around the traditional music business, basically. So we're in discussion with publishing companies, with agents and managers, and talking about royalty splits. It's a real issue for the music industry and for us to get mass adoption and to scale quickly. We need to face these issues head on, basically. So we're in deep discussions with publishers. If a publisher owns 50% of a song, then the sale of an NFT needs to provide for that. So we're working through this process with publishers. Plus, we've got micro royalties.
Micro royalties.
Which is accessible through our Telemidi, our borderless music program. So think about how many times a kick drum or a snare drum or a keyboard sound is played during a song. So
These
we can
are
track
samples,
that.
right?
They're sample packs. So we can track that and pay royalties on a micro level as well.
So you can see, I can at least. I'm part of the team, but there's this genuine effort to really find the ways to roll back to the musician artist, what is a percentage that is, rightfully theirs. However, that being said, we are artist, industry, rather traditional industry friendly.
That's right.
And we also want to give space for some questions and answers. So I really want to thank you for answering those questions about ocean floor music. But I think the real juice is like, does anyone have questions here about anything to do with the music industry or ocean floor music? We'll be happy to
Might I just add that that QR code gets you access to our whitelist. So please hop on that and sign up, and you'll get notice of our drops coming through. And as Clint said, we got Cav Templey's NFT drop coming up soon, plus about 50 artists that we've onboarded over the next period, and some pretty special drops that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of months. So please join us.
I'm coming out here. You've got a question, sir?
I've actually got 3.
We'll go for one and we'll see who else.
Well, I'll have to pick which one. Okay, about the royalties, right? And the traditional music industry friendly and stuff like that. Why bother with doing that if you are connecting the musicians and then go with the other blockchain projects that are helping solve the royalty problem? So instead of getting into the depths of figuring out the royalty, you just basically focus on the interface and the metaverse and then help them, work with them to sort out the royalty, because there's a platform called Royal, right, that is working on that. Then there's Audius, which is helping distribute the music and stuff. So
that's a very
Great
good
question.
Yep. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And there's also Moda, who are developing a fingerprint technology for tracks. So yeah, we're not going to try to sort of redevelop the wheel. We're all about partnering. Great question.
Okay, another question over here. Steve.
Thanks. Really exciting stuff, guys. So the year's 2027. What does it look like if everything goes right for you guys?
That's a great question.
us.
We're all visionaries, right? I think the beauty of, I guess when I look at DAO structures and communities coming together, I look at the physicality of it and the legal structures that come with it, but then I also look at it metaphorically and the power of a global brain made up of micro brains, problem solving on a topic that they love, which is ours is music. This is going to go above anywhere we believe. Our metaverse will be live. How that expands into creativity, especially with that technology of live, that live performance culture that we're creating. We think there's going to be almost a whole new genre that comes out of this performance. As I said, 97% of the tech of telemidi will unleash that. And I think about the word creative and the creator economy, and I tie it back to imagination, that mental faculty that we sort of put to sleep as we get older, and we're sort of coached in a way to stop daydreaming and stop doing this and that. Bringing imagination back. How do we all feel when we think about those Disney books that we read when we were kids and we open up and we see a treasure chest and that emotive? So I think it's a long answer, but I think the community will take it to the next level. We'll have a live marketplace, NFT marketplace shortly, crowdfunding. We'll see artists that have been through the cycle multiple times that have rewarded their fans properly up front, saying, well, if I can give you some of my upside in my investment into DeFi, if I give you some great bespoke off-chain and on-chain rewards and experiences, we'll see them coming through the system cyclically after 2 or 3 revolutions going, I'm going to earn more at the front of the funnel rather than the output at the back.
Really good question. And I think also the other thing to remember is, adoption in this marketplace. It generally is, a nascent marketplace still, even to this day. So, there's that part to be factored in. I think we've got another question over here.
Hello, sorry. With the royalties again, is it possible to still pay royalties if somebody has modified the sample packs? Do you know what I mean? Say I make a sample pack and then somebody wants to use that.
Yep.
But they modify it, they put an EQ or something on it. Am I still going to get the royalties, or does that
Well,
mess with it?
I think the original composer, the original producer, will always get a royalty. I mean, one of the beautiful things with NFTs is that there's a royalty in perpetuity for the rest of their day. So the answer to that is yes.
Great. We've got more time for questions. I'll take one from the back this time, and then I'll come back up front, ma'am.
What an engaged audience for this time of day. Thank you so much for sticking around.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
We're so excited.
I was just wondering if if it links with MIDI, does it also link with, like Ableton or Logic? And will there be an opportunity for artists in the future to education in the music space for like artists to collaborate from around the world and combine and make a track together, for example?
That's a really great question. So in my time at SAE, basically, Ableton was one of the main DAWs that we use, and these performances that you saw up there, they're actually being done with Ableton. I'm a Logic user personally. I love them both. It doesn't matter what you're using, but the answer to that is yes. So SAE are also inquiring about using the tech for educational purposes. So,
and just to complement that, one of the other performances that we're lining up to demonstrate global usability, it's pegged for Q1 next year, is a performance between a pipe organ player in British Columbia, a Rwandan musician in Rwanda, and a DJ in Perth. And it's just like, you think about just that, hopefully gets the brain thinking, oh, wow, this thing it's going to take off. We're going to connect people via music in a way that's never been done before.
What about the 400-year song?
Oh, yeah. So our main developer who's created this tech, his goal of this is the demonstration of creativity. He wants to start a track that goes for 400 years. It outlives us, all of us in this room. And what a goal to have. That's beautiful, yeah. So
all I can think of is imagine rewinding 130 years. How long will that take? Like,
Will you be here?
Be a slider.
Very good. I think we've got time for 2 more questions. I've got one over here. Sir, would you like to ask your question?
G'day, guys. With so many musicians coming on board in the project, contributing music, obviously maybe some merch and their music distributed throughout like customers and communities. Is there a possibility of room for a DAO with so many contributing people? Is a DAO possible in the mix?
Sure, absolutely. We'll be launching as a DAO. Important to understand. But what we see is little micro DAOs popping up. So what I'm seeing, and we're kind of hearing rumors or talk about this, is artist fan clubs creating micro DAOs to support that artist. So yes, the infrastructure's there, the capabilities are there, and the want for that type of thing is there as well. So good question.
Thank you. And ma'am, you've got a question, or you, sir?
We're colleagues. I was 2 questions, but the first one is like, I'm not sure whether you've seen it, but it might be interesting and relevant to you. The Andreessen Horowitz NFT terms. I think that might be really useful because it's standardized NFT terms, which is exactly what you want. But I think we work at a firm which basically does these NFT marketplace, and we set it up and there's a lot of very interesting intellectual property and royalty components all around the world. I guess it sounds like what you're going to be implementing is a standard system and an ecosystem for artists to play within. And is that the intention, and that's just going to go into perpetuity?
Yes and no. Yes, as in there will be the standardized system. And so the standardized system, we see that for artists who are not contracted, who have got full rights to their music and can do whatever they want with their music. And then there's the more complex side with artists who are contracted and have got deals with publishers or labels and the rights, distribution of royalties and all of that. And there's going to be a bit of customization requirements. We need to be careful with that because we could have 1,000 smart contracts that need to be managed consistently or updated or developed. So there's a yes and no, right?
It was made clear to everyone there is an NFT marketplace, yes. So please, if you want to, please scan the code up there, enter ACC 22, and you'll get the alpha on the musician NFT drops that'll be coming through. Last question at the back here, sir.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the marketplace is going to be inclusive or is it going to be exclusive? Because NFTs these days are so expensive and just so out of reach for everybody, for a lot of us. So is your NFT marketplace, is it going to be offering cheaper NFTs and more inclusive NFTs, or is it just exclusive artists, high prices, and for people that have basically got big bags?
It's a good question. Thank you. Obviously, we're kicking off with some, well-known artists to give our site credibility and help to bring on the masses to believe in what we're doing. To answer the question before, we've got the best legal advice in the country from Joni Pirovich. Who knows Joni? She's the best lawyer in the country in this space. We want our site to be permissionless. We want artists to be able to upload their artwork and have access to new audiences. To kick off, we want to make sure we've got some really curated, well bespoke product that's out there. Variety of tiers. I think artists, it's not for us to dictate what those tiers are within an NFT. The artists that get it right will obviously get repeat business. So being accessible to their masses and depending on what their fan base looks like to kick off with, we talk about the 1,000 super fans. That will probably dictate the amount of distribution there. If we've got an artist that has 7 million social followers, then there'll be a different distribution and pricing model that sits with that. So we will provide the templates, the coaching, the ability. Our system will be, to answer your question from before, is ultimately to become a self-intuitive, easy-to-use platform. But in the next period of time, we're absolutely going to help artists curate the best thing that's going to help them monetize and get repeat business.
Yeah. So the answer to that is yes. Any artist will be able to come on board.
I could have just said yes. Yeah. All right, okay.
All right, I think we're getting the nod to wrap up, but just to remember, look, this really is all about giving the tools back to artists, musicians to be empowered, whether that be through education, whether that be through infrastructure, marketplaces, metaverses, new technology that really expands the way that music can be collaborated between performers globally. COVID, I think, helped to kick that along, didn't it? So I want to thank you all for attending today. Thank you so much. We're going to be sticking around. If you've got any other questions, we'd be happy to take any other Q&A with you. And we're going to the bubbles afterwards as well. So
come and create with us. Everyone here is a creator. Thanks for your time so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sophie. You're brilliant.
Oh, thank you.